Hi, my name is Kellen. I am the Quiet Alchemist. I'm here at Cherry Creek Falls. It's a beautiful trail that leads to a waterfall in Woodinville, Washington. Last time I was here, I wasn't able to make it to the waterfall because it was getting late and I didn't quite get there. But maybe we can get there today. As you can tell from the title of this video, I am an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I left the congregation. It has been, I want to say, ever since COVID. That was 2021. That was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's been about 6 years. Kind of seems longer than that. I don't know why, but maybe towards the end I wasn't really feeling it anymore. I wasn't as emotionally as invested as I was when I was younger. But I do want to start with a disclaimer. My story does involve CSA. It involves domestic abuse, sexual abuse. I don't know what terms are okay on YouTube, but I will be talking about that. So trigger warning to anybody who are sensitive to these topics. I will leave timestamps, but if you deem it necessary to click off this video, I completely get it. Your mental health is the most important. Let me start from the beginning. I was raised in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State, with my single mom and my little sister. We had a big family. My mom is one of 10, and we were all raised up in the organization. We were second generation witnesses. Wait, no, we would be the third. We would be the third generation because we were introduced to it through my grandma. And my grandma was raised in New York during their whole preaching campaign in the 1940s, where they had microphones on those big vans, those big speakers on those vans, where they would play talks. My grandma was part of that. She participated in that campaign. We even had a few pictures of her there. We were third generation. And I remember when I was very young, going to meetings with everybody. All my aunts and uncles were there. I actually really enjoyed my time for a short time as a kid. Yeah, I loved my family very much. I had friends. I had friends in the meeting. I would play with these little girls. One of them was my best friend. And I liked the community it offered. I enjoyed listening about God because I'm a very spiritual person myself. So I like to learn about God. I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to be accepted. You know, everything a little kid wants. They want to be accepted in their community. They want to be accepted by friends and be good people. But things started to change when everybody moved away. Everybody went to Florida, and my mom decided to keep us here in Washington. And I felt like people were up and leaving leaving us behind. Um, it was the start of very hard times for me, because everything seemed to snowball after that, after everybody left. Just about the time that like everybody was leaving Washington, my mom had met somebody in the congregation. He ended up becoming my sister's father, my little sister's father. um, Maybe for this sake, I'll call him Rick, or maybe the convict, because he was. He had a record that he didn't really talk about. And my mom found out, though, in the worst way, because she had found out by getting fired from her job because they found out that he was a convict. So it was because of him that she lost her job. Everybody praised him in the congregation. He was very popular. People liked him. He was very charismatic. He wasn't an elder, which is odd. I feel like he should have been, but he wasn't. He took the meeting very seriously, and he felt that he was one of the anointed. And if you don't know who the anointed are, it's these group of people who feel as though they're of the 44,000, and they are the ones who get to rise up in heaven and rule with Jesus. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? He felt like he was one of those people. It was very different back then in the 90s. Now it's kind of viewed as like the governing body is of the 144,000, and they're the ones who are going to rule, because they're ruling now. They're ruling the organization right now. So therefore, why not continue that? So Rick was this great guy. He was a great dad. He was like a great member of the congregation, upstanding. And he turned out to be my abuser. And it started pretty young. It started when I was like 4 or 5. And it went on until I was in high school, I want to say. He was just really deceitful man. And that's who they upheld in their congregation. You know, that's who they exalted, was men like this. He was a different person sometimes. Well, a lot of the time. He had like 2 personalities. He was nice and friendly in the congregation, and funny and welcoming, but around us sometimes he was very abusive. I noticed how he was really abusive towards his own daughter, and he was sexually abusive towards me. He was a different person around me. And things definitely took a turn when my mom had entrusted him to take care of us when she left. Rick he was very deceitful. He would often take advantage of being alone with me sometimes. He would do it right in my mother's house. He didn't care. He was a narcissist. He only cared about himself. And things really started to change when my mom decided to leave. My mom had left and left us with Rick. And that was when the worst of the abuse happened. I didn't have anybody around to protect me. Nobody was there to watch out for me. My mom herself had anger issues, and she was abusive herself. She would get mad at us, often come home and put out all her anger on us. She was emotionally neglectful, physically abusive. She would speak down on me quite often, so I didn't really trust her. She did try to return. She came back, but this time she couldn't find us. Rick had hidden where we were, wasn't communicating with her, and essentially he had kidnapped us. I remember one night when I felt as though I was very little. I was maybe 7 or 8. When I was very little, and I felt like everybody had gone. My little sister and stepsister were starting to make new friends, and I felt so left out. I felt alone. I was going through a lot, and the congregation was actually a bit of it was a sanctuary for me, because I felt as though that's where God was. That's where I can connect with God and learn about God and think about God. And it served a purpose for me at one point. When my mom returned, she was more angrier than ever. She was meaner. She was more abusive. There were nights when she would get in such rage that I didn't even know what she was mad about. I was just scared of her. And she didn't really allow me to have the space to really open up. So I didn't say anything to her. I didn't really trust her. I didn't trust myself, because Rick had convinced me that speaking about it was going to get me in trouble. Speaking about it was going to ruin everything. And so I didn't. I put it away. I didn't talk about it with anybody. It was easier for me to pretend as though it wasn't happening. And it affected me. I actually had been a bedwetter until I was in middle school, even high school even, I think. That's a big indication that a child is being sexually assaulted, which I later found out. And my mom knew it was a problem for me, but she didn't really do anything about it. She didn't really help me. There were times when she would like bring counselors around, but nothing would ever come of it. It wasn't really all that important to her. I wasn't really important to her. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Because I loved my mom. I still love my mom. I love my mom very much. I don't think I could ever stop loving my mom. But I think that at this point that it would be hard for me to have a friendship with her because of the history that we've had that hasn't been good. And as a teenager, things started to really change. We ended up living with another one of my mom's boyfriends, but this time my mom had met somebody outside of the congregation, somebody who was worldly. As a teenager, I was very confused because growing up, I was learning how to be a godly Christian woman, Christian girl, and it was contradicting everything my mom was doing because my mom was more interested in men, she was more interested in her job, she was more interested in her friends than she was in me. So I was confused. She was occupied with other things. But I wanted to like uphold the image that I made for myself, and for some reason even then I was being challenged. The worldly man that my mom had met, and when I say worldly, I mean like not of the organization, for anybody who doesn't really know what that means. He wasn't of the organization. He was a good guy. I liked him. He was well-rounded. He was more well-adjusted than most of the men in the organization, which is the funny part. He was a good guy. I don't think he always had my mom's best interest at heart, but love him. I still love him. He passed. And he had 2 kids of his own who we got to know, and they themselves were never introduced to the organization at all. What they knew about it was what we had told them. Even then, even as a teenager, I was being challenged to think differently about things. And I think I was going through a lot of cognitive dissonance. Even though nobody in my household was really upholding any doctrine, I still felt beholden to it. I felt like I was doing something important. It made me feel important. It made me feel like I belonged to something. It made me feel as though I was making a change, making a difference in some way. Even though, for the most part, I wasn't very happy. If I'm really being really honest with myself, I wasn't happy. And at the same time, my mom was keeping me holden to it. She wanted me to keep going to meetings. She would often make me feel bad if I wasn't going. She was a major influence in that, and I took my mom's opinion very seriously. I don't know why. I just I had such an image of her that nobody was going to break this wonderful image I had of my mom, even though I knew that she was kind of a manipulative person herself. That's a whole nother story. During that phase, I was really devout. I think that was like the most devout point in my life, was when I was a teenager. Even though nobody in my household at the time was really upholding any organization doctrine, I still felt as though I was beholden to it. There was this it had this power over me, I think. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I felt like I was doing something important. And I believed it. I believed what they told me. I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe that everybody one day was going to go to paradise and all world problems were going to be done away with. And I felt important. It made me feel important. It made me feel worthy. And even though there were times when I was having some really like heavy cognitive dissonance and I was somewhat self-aware. After high school, I finally came out to my mom and told her what was happening, or what had happened, because Rick was still in our lives. He was still around. He would come. Of course, he was my little sister's father, but because he was around, he was still treating me like I was his, daughter, and that he had some sort of claim over me. He really didn't. He just wanted to keep me around because I was his little play toy. That's what really was. And he was still abusing me. And it wasn't until high school that I had finally come out to my mom, because it was really bothering me. My mind had come together and was making sense of what was happening. Because for a long time I didn't know. I didn't really understand. You know, even at one point, I had thought like a lot of girls go through this. And yeah, that's true. But doesn't mean it's normal. So I finally told my mom what was happening, and her reaction actually surprised me, because I did still really believe that I was going to be the one that was in trouble over this. It was in my mind, very set in my mind, that I was going to be the one bearing the shame of all of this. And her reaction surprised me, because she immediately called the cops. She immediately told them what was going on. She hired a private investigator, and we went through the whole process of persecuting Rick. I had to get on the phone with him and confront him. I had to go into court and testify against him. So one good thing that came out of all of this is that a predator went to jail and is now in jail over this. I don't know where he is now or what he's up to, but I have a feeling that he had passed away, which is good. This is great. One less predator on this planet. Perfect. Great. At the time, I didn't blame the organization for all of this. I didn't blame the governing body because I really didn't know all the politics behind it. Looking back, in hindsight, it makes sense that they, and I mean, when I say they, I mean the governing body, that they kind of foster this atmosphere in their congregation, in their followings, in their teaching, in their policies. They harbor predators. If you are somebody who is learning about the witness organization, and this is coming from somebody who grew up in that atmosphere, if you're somebody who's thinking about getting involved, getting more involved, going to more meetings, studying more, and you're just learning about this, learning about Jehovah's Witness organization, I really want to warn you that it's not safe for children. Your children aren't safe in the congregation. If you are in the congregation now and you can't get out or for some reason and you have kids, keep watch over your kids. Keep a close eye who's around your children, because they aren't protecting children. They're more interested in protecting predators. And that's what pisses me off the most. Because if I had been watched out, looked over, maybe things would have been different. And I do want to have a part in bringing this organization to justice. And I know that my voice, my story is a big part of that. So this is why I'm speaking up and talking about it. And it took me a lot. It took me a lot to get to this point. It took me a lot to finally put myself, and I didn't want to hide my face. I had no interest in hiding who I was because I want the organization to see. I want them to look at their victims. I want them to look, and when I say the organization, I mean the governing body. I want the governing body to look at who they are affecting, because I don't think that they really see or perceive their members, their everyday members who attend the congregations regularly. They aren't really involved with them. So that's why I'm putting myself out there. And I felt like it was important now more than ever, especially after all their new regulations, their new policies, their new announcements they've been making recently. Makes me mad. It pisses me off because for so long we were held to a standard that was really unattainable. We were expected to be perfect members of the organization. We were supposed to represent Jehovah's name. And this is what they do. This is what they do behind doors. They protect predators. They protect convicts. They actually exalt them and put them on pedestals and make them proud of who they are. And I want to expose that. Expose them. And take a look at how much of a poison the witnesses have been in my family. They've broken up my family. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the root of the hostility we have in our family is because of the organization, is because of their policies, because of their They're like shallow policies, really, that are really harmful to your mental health. It really has affected the family dynamic in our family, and how we are not really able to come together because of all of this past. Feels good to say it. It feels good to say it on camera and say it in front of people and tell people how I fucking feel, because I hate it. I hate how they treat us.
Hey guys, this is Editing Kellen now. I realized that this video was becoming quite long. I was trying to aim for 25 minutes, and now here we are at the 30-minute mark. But don't worry, I do want to do a part 2 for anybody who is interested in that, because I do have more to share, especially how my waking up began, how I really started to see the cracks. To be completely honest, though, it did start from the very beginning. So the best way you can support me, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of shout out here, but please follow if you want to hear more. If you're enjoying this story up until now, you must be. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram, so if you guys are floating around on those socials, you can always find me there. My handles are listed below, so come check me out. I do like to share additional content, some reflections. I don't always like to be too serious there, to be honest. I like to be goofy and just show what I'm up to. I've been trying to do more fashion stuff because I do love clothes. I'm not gonna lie. So I want to post more of that. And you'll honestly probably see a little bit of my kitty cat as well. She ends up on my social media quite a lot, so you'll probably see that little princess at some point. Before I start rambling too much, I do want to share that I am writing a book. I plan on releasing my book in 3 parts, specifically to my audience. I feel like I can tell my story in that way. And I had quite a deep inner world that I want to share with people. So if you're interested in that, I do want to opening up a email list. And if you do sign up for my email list, I do offer a little booklet for free for anybody who wants to join. You'll get a little booklet I created called Release. I specifically wrote it to help you navigate everyday anxiety and fear. So if it's something you struggle with, it might be a good starting point. Please join my mailing list, and you'll also get an announcement as to the first part of my book. So I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited to share all this with you, and doing anything listed above will support me so much, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you to reaching this point in my video and taking time to listen to my story. It's really important for me, and getting to this point was not easy. And I want to thank you. Thank you for having such compassion and empathy for somebody who is really really pushing myself to come out of hiding. So thank you.
If you're somebody who's affected by CSA, I want you to know that your voice is so important. Your testimony is so important. The more you speak up about these things, the more the organization gets held accountable for this in particular.
If any part of my story resonates with you, I want you to know you are not alone. If you're questioning things right now, and that goes with anything, religious groups aside, if it's work, friendship groups, cliques, family relationships, if things don't feel right or sit right in your body, I want you to trust that. Waking up to cult-like behavior and cult-like indoctrination doesn't start with having all the answers. It starts with you trusting yourself and trusting your own discernment. This video, in many ways, is a response to the governing body and the manipulation I see from them. People I know personally are inside the organization are being gaslit, misled, and asked to silence their own discernment through these new announcements and updates they've been giving. In that sense, this video is also a remedy, a way of me reclaiming my own truth. So maybe even an open letter.
Oh, the water is so high. I think I made it to the waterfall. Excited. Oh, we found it. Wow. Wow.
So if anyone from the governing body or representatives at headquarters happen to be listening to this, and I know you do, I, Kellen Hart, and I believe the last congregation I attended was Lakeside in Bellingham, Washington, am publicly disassociating from Watchtower Bible Tract Society. I disassociate from the beliefs, authority, and practices of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. It felt good to say that out loud. My goodness. I didn't think that I'd get so much satisfaction from saying that. And that, my dears, is the last I have to share with you today. Please comment a star emoji if you made it this far into the video and you made it all the way to the end. I love all of your beautiful souls. Thank you for listening and being so patient with me. I want you to know that telling the truth is one of the bravest forms of self-devotion. And I love you. Mwah!